Because we was vibing. I'm sorry. I'm Shenequa.
And I'm Andrea.
And you're listening to So With This Ring. Here we are on episode 4.
Woo!
4. So time waits for nobody. I can't believe we're on episode 4. This is week 4.
Yeah, week 4.
And then Christmas
is right around the corner.
Just left.
Girl,
where is your mind?
New Year's. I'm thinking about New Year's.
Christmas came and left, so I hope that your Christmas went well.
Yes.
I know my Christmas went well. I know your Christmas went well.
It
went well.
So, but Christmas ain't about us once you have kids.
That's true. I was going to say, I'm sure KDK was like, my toys.
And Squishy was the same way.
Definitely. Everything about cars and trucks and all this other stuff, that's just him.
Caden is Paw Patrol.
We got him a Paw Patrol fire truck.
Oh, he's going to love that. Is it the big one? The big one?
Yes, it is. Making so much noise.
Yeah, no, it's the best thing ever because Caden got that for his first birthday and still uses it. So I think that's one of the best toys because they're
it is, but the sound is too loud.
He'll die. As I told my son, we just talking about kids. My son is the expert on that, which is all that. So he got a couple of things. He got magic tiles, with this some other thing. Yeah. And he got a couple of Paw Patrol stuff. So you already know.
Yeah, I already know.
But yes, we are at episode 4, and this episode is all about set boundaries.
Yes.
And this is when we're talking about boundaries within a relationship. As you previously listened to us for episode 1 and 2 of So This Is Dating, you heard us talk about boundaries in a relationship. But this episode we're really going to deep. Into it. Right. And talk more about it.
So basically it's like before you're setting your boundaries, you want to consider, acknowledging why they're so important, not only for you, but also for your partner. Yeah. So, in doing our research, because we want to make sure that we're giving you the best advice possible, we came up with 4 main things that we thought was how you can actually set, boundaries within your relationships. So,
all right. Yeah, draw something. So I wanted to ease on, but sorry, y'all.
No, you're good.
But this is what it means when it's uncut.
Yes, yes. Because everything is uncut, real deal, Holyfield, everything that we're going to get at you. So we developed there was going to be 4 main things that we could talk about that we see that as how you can set boundaries within your relationship. Yep. So give me number 1.
Number 1, be honest about what you need.
Yes.
So part of that is just being honest with what you need. When you're meeting with your partner or spouse, even when you're potentially dating somebody, you just want to talk about what you need, because sometimes as women, we feel that men or our partners know what we want, and sometimes they don't. So part of that is just letting them know, listen, this is what I need. My husband knows the thing I need is a little bit of some space. You're doing too much, you got to back it up a little bit. I need some space. And he has also told me, you got to let me know clearly what you need.
Right.
Because sometimes I'll assume, that I need X, Y, and Z. He's like, well, you didn't tell me. So that's part of it for, my take. What's your view?
Well, I was going to say also, definitely that. But then, too, keep in mind that we're learning about each other every single day. No matter how long we've actually been in a relationship, you literally learn something new about a person each day that you're around them, because they change. Yeah. You're not going to be set in one type of thing for too long. You're going to change the way your eating habits. You're going to change the way on how you maneuver throughout the house and things like that. And, sometimes your eye can raise, what's going on here? That's not what you did before. So if you, specify, have an understanding as far as what the other person needs, not only what the other person needs, but what you need as well. So that way it's out there, it is transparent, it's not hidden. That will eliminate any problems that you could potentially have within your relationship.
True. And it's just now, and then when you think about it, you kind of need all of this now because of being in, the pandemic.
Yes.
Most of us, or I want to say all of us that's in a relationship have been with our spouses when we locked down in quarantine.
Yes.
24/7.
Yes.
So I think when we got a little bit of being able to go back out, or a little sense of normalcy, it was able to do things that you are normally couldn't do. Because I know for 2020, that took me the way out.
Yes.
I did not be what I would text you girl, I hate being on.
Yes. Cabin fever was at an all-time high.
Especially if you're outgoing, and I like going outside. And I like being outside. Not to be doing stuff whether window shopping, taking walks, etc. So to be on lockdown and be home, I did lose my mind.
No, I definitely lost my mind. So not almost, I definitely lost my mind. Because it's okay, you love your significant other, but at the same time, it was kind of I really have to see you every single day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what it is? And I love my husband. Don't get me wrong. It's not a matter of that, but just being able to have, like, you know, different set of scenery.
Oh,
like,
yes,
being able to go outside, being able to go to the library, being able to go to the store,
not
something
even
like
have
that.
your girl time like you normally will, go out to eat with your girls or go to a little social event.
Right.
I think that was the most unexpected thing. And then sometimes you nitpick me. I was nitpicking. I was driving myself crazy. I was like, listen, y'all are on top of me. I was like, y'all gotta give me my space. And I was working from home. So it was like, listen, y'all, I'm working from home, but y'all still making noise, and I still got things to do. So,
right. And then everything was being done from home. Like,
Yeah.
you would just have one room that you worked out of, and then you come out of that room, and then it's just like, okay, work is done now. I'm still in the same house. I did not go outside. I didn't get any sunlight.
Nope.
So, you know, that's basically what I mean. So you're learning something new about your partner every single day, especially dealing with this COVID. I know we learned a lot. So the thing is that we do need to be honest as far as the things that we need.
Yes,
right?
Definitely.
Hit them with number 2.
Number 2, listen to what your partner needs. So now we talked about, the first one was like being honest about what you need, but also you cannot forget about what your partner needs.
Right.
And part of that, men will not tell you what they need.
No.
They won't. You have to ask them. Or sometimes you have to pay attention. I know, like, for my husband, he, like, you know, that's affection for him, you know, and even just communicating or doing something that he enjoys,
right,
and enjoying that with him. So I try to always do that, as well as just ask him, hey, do you need, like, what do you need from me?
Right.
Like, sometimes you just have to flat out say, what do you need from me? And they'll be like, listen, I need X, Y, and Z. But most of the time, they won't tell you.
Right.
But if you know your mate, and I feel like a lot of people, you know your spouse, like vice versa,
right,
you would know what they need.
True.
And part of that, and my husband likes to go out, so my thing is when he does, I'm going out, I'm like, listen, all right, see you later. You know, hang out with your boys and do what.
Yeah, I'm very good on asking him, are you happy? Because I think that's a better way that I'll be able to get some information out in regards to what he needs. So I'm like, are you happy? Like, are you good? Do we need to talk about anything? Is there anything that you need from me? Yeah. And I feel like that's the way that we can set the tone with the conversation as far as like what he needs. Because again, like you were saying, sometimes men don't really, because it's not something that they really think about, because they're the person that feels that they're supposed to be the provider. So anything that they need, they can get on their own. So I think really what it is just for me to say, okay, hey, is there something I can do? Or is there a way that I can help? Like, you know, do you need to talk about anything? Just letting him know that I am here for him in the event that he does need me. Because I think really what happens is that men, they grow up, or, you know, however that they're raised, that they're supposed to be the providers. They have to be the ones to look after you, look after their family. You know what I mean? So who looks after them?
But it's part of having a partnership. Too,
very true.
Because that's part of it. You explain that this is us being together in partnership in helping each other, because that's making each other happy.
Right.
So, you know, addressing both of your needs, you know, making each other happy.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, definitely just making sure that your partner is able to feel comfortable in letting you know what they need, because sometimes they're not comfortable,
or they might say nothing, and you know it's something.
Right. Yeah. And then also leaving an opportunity for them to be able to communicate to you in other ways. Like, I know for the most part, there's times when he can talk to me like face to face, and then there's other times where he has to think about it, and then I will wake up and there's a long paragraph of a text message or like on WhatsApp or something like that about, okay, so remember when I told you XYZ? That wasn't the case. So I wanted to, you know, think about it a little bit more, because my husband is a thinker. Like, he needs to think things through completely before he can give you like an honest answer, if, you know, rather than giving you something off the fly. And I can respect that. Like, I can't tell you, like, sometimes it's annoying because it's like, I want answers right now. Like, hello, I'm here now. But, you know, we also have to understand that that's not the way that they operate.
True.
So, you know, I have to, you know, scale it back a little bit and just wait for him to, you know, open up.
And that's part of the need.
That's part of the need.
You have to learn your spouse and learn that's what they are.
Exactly.
Like, you know, certain things, like I think today, for example, or the other day, let me keep running back. I went with my husband because he worked. Yeah, that's one thing on my mind. The other day. I went with him to work and just enjoying the company.
Right.
So every time he's like, you want to come along? Make sure I come along, and went to work. We was just vibing out and we was chatting and everything. And sometimes you just need that.
Right.
You just need that. So it's just understanding each other and knowing what each other needs.
One of our needs, right? Yep. Exactly. Hit him on number 3.
Boom, 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 boom. Designate when you need space. Hold on. What are you doing? I can see you from the side of my eye. What are you eating?
Wait, you caught me off guard.
Yeah, because I'm like, I hear you open it. I'm doing my whole pop, pop, pop. What are you eating?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I take vitamins. You know, I was telling you I was taking vitamins. I'm into my self-care and stuff like that. So I started taking Goli vitamins, which is like the apple cider
I
vinegar
heard of them.
gummies.
Okay.
It's actually really good though.
Okay.
So you're supposed to eat one, 3 gummies per day. So one at lunch, one in the breakfast, one for lunch, one for dinner.
Okay.
So I actually started taking these, and these are actually, it's almost done.
Oh wow.
I have to refill, but these are actually really good. And you know how that after that, sometimes the apple cider vinegar,
it doesn't.
This doesn't. It actually tastes like I'm actually biting into an apple.
I heard about it.
Yeah, but anybody who's interested, I would say definitely do it. They do have different versions of it, but this one is definitely my favorite. So if you want to give it, a try, don't want to spend the full amount, you could definitely go to the website www.goli.com.
If you want to show it so they can see it
better,
so you can see the Goli, but y'all probably heard this.
Yes, and we're gonna hook you up with a code. You can get 10% off if you use the promotional code SincerelySG_. You can get 10% off your purchase, but I wasn't expecting. But anyway,
you made noise, so I had to say something. But back to our schedule.
Number three.
Designate when you need space. I think I talked about this, or we both just mentioned it in the first part. Space is very important in a relationship. Not space when you're saying space, I'm walking out and I'm leaving you. Mm-hmm. Is I'm talking about the space in your relationship to identify yourself as a person of who you are and what you are.
Right.
Because sometimes in relationships you get so caught up, even in marriages, you get so caught up that you forget who you are because you're so involved and invested in your relationship.
Right.
So sometimes having that space, whether it's you having some time with your girls or doing something that you love to do. Me, I love to read and I love to window shop and I'm into fashion, so everybody knows that. So I do things that, help my creative outlet. So I always told, especially when the pandemic happened, I used to tell my husband, like, listen, because we would rotate, with our son. I'm like, listen, I need to go out just to go for a walk. And he'd be like, all right. And it's for myself. And he understood. At first he was like, what are you doing? Like, I was like, I just gotta go and do a walk. And I used to do this before the pandemic. Like whenever I was frustrated with work, before I go home, because I always promised myself I would not take in that energy in the house from anything else bothering me. I would take a walk. Right. And I love to walk. So those are the things. And like my husband, he loves playing video games. So I think that's his way of his space. Video games, watching sports. Yes, fellas, I know that's what y'all like to do. And he also loves, Shenequa knows he loves music. So I feel like that's his thing with mixing and doing music. She calls him a DJ.
DJ? I'm not going to shout his name now.
Yes, right? But no, definitely just knowing and telling your partner the space that you need, because I think sometimes, especially in the pandemic, because I feel like this is what we're centering this around with the healthy relationship, is that we was all on top of each other to the point that it's like, listen, you start kind of like, I love you, but you're getting on my nerves.
Yes.
Y'all all getting on my nerves.
Yes. And so, can I take this a different way too? Not just like between you and your significant other, but if you have kids.
Oh, I was trying to be nice.
No, don't be nice. Because again, we giving them the realness. Like, I never appreciated having a moment of space, like when we come here to record, more than when I actually became a mother. And don't get me wrong, I love my son and will do anything in the world, and being around my son gives me complete happiness. But sometimes it becomes too much. And where, especially when they're mommy, I want mommy face all the time, where you can't even go pee in peace or take a shower in peace.
Because they're right at the door.
They're right at the door. You see their little fingers going in between the cracks to, or whatever, mommy. I love it, but I never really appreciated having the space as much as I did now as mom. So I definitely want to make sure that you are establishing space between your partner
and your child,
as well as your child
and
too.
As well as family.
Family and friends.
Yes.
Family and friends. Like, just to be able to develop time and space and for them to understand that it is needed. Yeah. Because there are some people who are confused. Like, why do you need space? What do you mean, why do I need space? I was born by myself.
But they think when you say you need space, you're having an attitude.
Right. And it's
not
an that.
Issue. It's not. It's just
not
that. For your own mental health, honestly, you need that.
Right.
And it's funny because what you said about motherhood is true. Because you have this standard, which we'll probably talk about that too.
Oh, yeah.
About motherhood, that you invest in, do so much, but you don't give yourself a break. And that was part of it too, because I used to be like, I'm a loser.
Yes.
Like I'm being nice about it. Shenequa knows. I was like, I'm a lose, because I'm for her. I'm a lose my ever-loving mind, and it's going to be real. So having that space, you're right, as a mom, it's also important as well, because then you're able to come back and be reset, refreshed. And I know in the beginning of that, I always used to be like, let me check. Now I be like, oh, everybody be like, where your child at? With his grandma or his father? Exactly. And I don't be calling.
Right.
Don't be calling.
And in that, take the help that you need so that way you can obtain that space. Like, if it's just a matter of someone saying, you want to go to brunch? Yep. When do you want to go to brunch? Let me just go ahead and make sure I can factor in, say, having care for my child. Or, hey, I wanted to see the child. When do you want to take the child? I'll bring them over to you. Or whatever. We have to get out of that mindset of the fact that, okay, yes, this is my child. I have to keep him safe. But also understand that there are family out there that's going to make sure that they're safe. Like, no one is going to keep your child safer than you.
Of course.
But at the same time, you'll know who has your child's best interests, in mind, So we also have to make sure that it's okay. It's saying that it's okay, to have other people take care of your son and stuff like that, so that way you can have the space that you need. Because my husband is just like everything that you mentioned about your husband. He's into the video games. He's into making music. Like, he's into like the sports and everything like that, or whatever. And he makes time to have the space and all of that. And this is how I was saying where it factors into parenthood, because, to me, the way that I see it, and that's just by me being a mom, like, I just feel as though, like the men don't really have to change their life too much. Oh
my goodness. Me and my husband talk about this all the time. He says, of course, women, y'all have the hardest job ever.
Yeah, we do.
I said, y'all don't change, y'all don't conform, y'all don't change. And, we argue about that, or disagree, I would say, about that all the time. Oh, I change where? Because you're still doing the same thing while I'm stopping what I'm literally doing and rearranging my whole thing. Like, I'm the type of person like, okay, wait a minute. Drea, you want to hang out today? I'm like, hold on. Let me see who gonna watch. Who gonna watch Kate? Who gonna do this?
Right.
Wait. Do I have to make sure? How I'm setting up properly? How long can you watch it for? Things of that nature. Right. So it's a planning, and that's another thing. Motherhood is a planning process.
It is.
Especially when you are anal and particular about the things that you need for your child.
Exactly. Now, so I guess still, since we're talking about the thing about space, like, how do you go about inputting your space when it comes to like your significant other?
So for me, like I said, I would basically say what I needed. Before I would be like, first of all, I'm gonna leave if you don't. But I'm very anal about certain things and just very direct. So I think I had to be more direct about it. A little petty too, because that's just part of me. But I was very direct. I said, listen, I need space. So, or if I knew, like, for example, if you'd be like, hey, I want to hang out. I'm like, listen, such and such, that I want to go out. And my husband's all for that. He encourages it. Like, listen, you need to go out, do something. It used to even be like, he come home from work, would be like, oh, go outside. Like, go ahead, bye. I got this, and that's it. So I think he understood, because I had those conversations like, look, this is what I'm going through. Right. Which goes back to talking about what you need. Right. This is what I'm going through. And I think for me, being in the pandemic had took me all the way out. And I can talk about that in another episode. It took me all the way out. And that's what made me realize that I had to vocalize what I needed, instead of thinking that somebody already knew. Because the type of person I am, I'm like you. I'm a doer, but I just go above and beyond, and I just do it myself. Because that's a patient part of me. I'm working on my patience. I'm getting better. I'm impatient, so if you're not moving to the way I need you to move fast enough, I just get up and do it, and then I'm overwhelming myself. Yeah. So I really had to take a step back, and my husband had to check me, like, you're doing too much. Yeah. And you need to, like, sit down and talk about what it was. And part of that was like, I need space. I'm not saying I need space from you, but I need space so I can just be able to rejuvenate and be able to function better as a wife.
Okay, so you went about it the right way. I did not. Ooh. As it became to like for space. No, I didn't. So really what it is, it was kind of like No, I didn't wild out, but it was kind of like on the basis of it's like I just feel as though it's like it should be out there in your face that everybody needs space. So why do I need to let you know when I need space?
That is true.
You know what I mean? So I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go XYZ on this particular date, and he'll be like, oh, okay. And then, like, what's going to happen with the baby? And I'm like, well, what's going to happen with the baby is you're going to figure it out because you're his father. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole thing about, like, the whole space kind of thing is just, like, it goes back to what I was saying before. Like, I just automatically have this thing where if you can get up and go,
Why can't I?
I should be able to get up and go too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like, you did a little bit better. You made it known to your husband, like, okay, I need space.
But
I didn't really make it.
I had some petty ways about it. I ain't go all the way. I had some petty ways.
No, but I wasn't petty about it. But like, when he went out or whatever, then when he would come back home and be like, all right, so you went out today, so in 2 days I'm gonna go out. That's the way that I did. So it wasn't, I wouldn't say it's like low-key petty, but not too much petty. It was just like, okay, but you just went out, so I'm gonna go out.
Or what I do is when I take my long walks, I used to have a friend that lived close by, so I would just hang out with the friend for a minute, and then he'd be like, you coming back? I'd be like, oh. And then, as my child got older, funny that Mommy went out. He said, yep, she went gallivanting in the neighborhood.
Gallivanting. I can't. But definitely make sure that you set space in your friendships, relationships. We're talking about relationships, but more so just more of space. Yeah. Last one.
Last but not certainly least is communicate with respect.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of what we just talked about going back to question number 3. It's just being respectful.
Yeah.
Even though it can be frustrating, you may not. And I had to work on this. You may not be able to at that time say it respectfully, but then you can go back and say, you know what? I apologize, but I should have said this in this way.
Right.
Because sometimes you do get frustrated. And I'm not going to lie. My part is I get frustrated with him, and then I go on a rampage. But I think respectfully communicating what's going on with you, it really changes the dynamic of the conversations that you have, as well as any issues that you have.
That's true.
Because when you're angry and hot and heated and trying to communicate, I'm telling you, no matter who it is, your spouse is not listening.
No.
They don't want to hear it. They don't want to know anything about it. They're like, listen. But I realize when you come to the table and come respectfully, like how we're having this conversation.
Exactly.
This is how I feel, and this is what's going on. You have a better outcome.
You do.
And you use this for anything. Even though we're talking about relationships, this is also for friendships as well as anything, even in business.
Oh yeah.
When you're working, because you want to. I always say give respect where respect is supposed to be
given.
So I'm giving you respect, then you're gonna respect me.
Right. And if you can't respect me, then we have an issue at this point.
Yeah. Or I'm gonna show you how to respect me.
Exactly. No, that part. I'm going to show you how to respect me. And, even with that, we're being able to communicate respectfully, especially if I know that I'm giving you something that I'm very passionate about.
Yes.
And you're not really taking that into consideration, or you don't see that as something that's of an importance. And that's where my patience runs in. Now, keep in mind, I have a lot of patience. You can hit me with various things and I'll be able to keep taking it to the chin or whatever until a certain point. But when it comes to something that I'm very passionate about and I'm trying to speak to you about it in the most respectful way ever, and you're not really trying to give me that same that acknowledgement, so to speak, then we have a problem. We have a problem. So in that, even when you're communicating respectfully, I would say the best thing for you to do is also expect the unexpected, because even though you're coming to them with respect, you might not get that respect back.
But I will say, that you did your part and being respectful, so you don't have to feel no way about it after you leave the conversation.
Exactly.
Because you gave respect. If that person gives respect, you won't be pissed. But at least you wasn't the same way.
And it's nothing wrong with saying, okay, well, you see, I came to you differently, and the way that you're coming off to me, I really don't like that. So you may have to tone it down, or we can't really have the conversation. And it's okay to postpone that relationship that conversation for another day if you feel as though that it's going south. However, this is what I don't want to happen, because I see this take place in relationships before, where you're trying to express something, you're being respectful, the other person is not, or starting to get loud, you dead the conversation, you come back to it, and then they still being loud again. So, how many times are you going to have to go through that before you actually get your point across? That's
when you have to tell the person, you know what, respectfully, I'm going to go. Have a blessed day. I guess.
But then how do you get your point across? That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's principle for me.
What you mean, in a relationship?
In a relationship, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about relationships.
Petty. Yes, I'm saying it. I could be petty. Shout out to my husband. I could be petty, and I'll harass you. It's the toxic trait. I'm gonna harass you until you listen to me. And wait, listen and get the answers. But like I said, we are all a work in progress. That didn't work. but we were able to communicate. And it's just about better communication.
Right.
I technically didn't really have like a disrespect issue with my husband.
Yeah.
I will say that. It was just a disagreement. But I know with otherwise, like other relationships, that's a different topic to talk about how to work through that. But it's basically just owning your truth and just saying this is how it is. So if the person is not going to be receptive of it, you know what? We're gonna table this for another day.
Yeah.
And I had a situation like that. I was like, you know what? Like I think I'd be talking about. I'm not gonna lie, we that situation. I think, you know what? I don't feel like talking about this right now because I feel like the conversation's gonna go sideways. Right. And he was like, no, it's not. We're having a conversation. I'm like, to you, we are. But to me, I don't want to say something that comes off rude and disrespectful. Right. So give me a moment. And we'll get back to the conversation.
And that's definitely taking the high road in that, because if you know that when you're going to express yourself about, coming with respect or whatever, and you feel as though like that heat is boiling up inside you, if you know that that's about to happen, there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, cut. Let's bring it back another time, and we also have to respect that on our partner's end. Especially, we don't know what's going on inside their mind when we're trying to bring them something. Maybe it's a trigger to something, and then they start getting hot. And then at that point, they're like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's okay to table it, but then also keep in mind, like, hey, we're tabling it for this time frame, but we will talk about this again.
And we'll say and I think in relationships, it's very good to talk about it within that same day. So let's say you had this disagreement. I'm not going to call these arguments. Disagreement in the morning, you should still talk about it before the end of the day, because the main rule I always say in a relationship is that you never want to go sleep angry, definitely. No. You want to clear it out. Whether y'all agree to disagree. Exactly. As long as you was able to effectively communicate with the respect.
And the thing is to say you don't want to wake up the next morning with that harping on your spirit, because then you're having right, and then because the next day it's gonna be a salty day.
Yes,
that day is gonna stuck.
My ladies, I know y'all be like this because I used to be like this.
In the morning, just staring at him,
and your boo be like, "Hey, babe," you be
like,
yeah,
goodbye, hello,
no, you don't hear me talking to you? Nope.
No, I do not. But you have a good day, sir. Because he's sir at that point.
Oh,
no babe.
Nope.
No husband.
Have a blessed day. Or don't, we can start calling them by their full name. That's how they know you mad. When you call, if you've been with your partner for a while, you know you do not call them by their government name.
Not at all. Not even in my phone.
Boo. You already know that. Nope. With that, how may I help you, sir?
I can't. But yes, I would say definitely that. Like, try not to go to bed, and with that harboring on your head. But even if it has to go into the next day, I would say try to exhaust all options as much as possible. Maybe he just doesn't want to talk about it face to face. Maybe he just wants you to go ahead and pick up that phone and send him a text. Maybe send him a voice note, so that way he can go back to it.
But it's also based on how your partner is.
Very true.
Your partner is a text person, mine is not. So we have to talk.
Right.
He is not into texting, not even all into social media. So somebody that's the opposite, where I'm like, answer me. I had to learn that I had to
scale it back.
Yep.
Scale it back. Sometimes you have to scale it back. Yeah. But those were just the 4 that we thought made sense, because it, especially now, like she kept on talking about, like the pandemic. The pandemic has showed us a lot, especially if you had the cabin fever and you were up in the house with your significant other. And I want to say that like a lot of breakups were happening during this time frame of the pandemic, because you're at home and you're with that person nonstop, and so you get to see behind the scenes,
see what was really going on,
the real deal. You know what I mean? So first one was be honest about what you need. The second one was to
listen to what your partner needs,
right? And then the third one was
designate when you need space, and then the last one was communicate with respect.
So we feel as though like those are the top 4 out of the list that will help make sure that your relationship stays on game. Let's say at the top of the list. Now, this is not to say that if you follow these guidelines that there's not going to be any issues whatsoever. Of course it is. In any relationship or ships, you know what I mean? There's going to be an underlying issue of some point. But the thing is that if you are communicating, all of this goes into communication, right? Yeah. If you are communicating effectively, to your partner, to your friend, to your family members about this is what you are needing and what you need in return for them, then there shouldn't really be too much of a problem. Now, the only way there will be a problem is if they can't give you what you need and you can't give them what they need, then that means that person is not, or does not serve a purpose in your life whatsoever. You guys are just not compatible.
And that's another conversation.
For another time.
Yep.
For another time.
Oh, yeah, for another time. But that's just another conversation to be having. But basically, all these tips is to help incorporate for you to have the healthy relationship with your partner.
Right, pretty much. And again, we got to drop that gem that we are no experts. Not at all.
Share it, and we feel that it will help you out. Now,
exactly.
We're not saying you try these 4 tools and don't be calling us
or
emailing us saying, because we're not at the call option yet, but email us saying, well, I tried y'all SIPS, Shenequa and Andrea, and it didn't work.
But do understand that this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Like, you're going to hit these 4 things, and then everything is like, you guys are skipping in the forest, holding hand in hand, like, picking flowers. Like, it's not gonna happen overnight. These things do take time, but it's like you have to develop a habit. You gotta develop these habits, and a habit can actually formulate within 28 days, a whole month. So if you stay consistent with it, then you will definitely see the changes, and that's with anything that you do, whether it's positive, whether if it's negative. But if in order for you to see the constant growth within your relationship, then you want to make sure that you're doing everything in a positive light in order to make sure that your relationship can grow and flourish and all of that. You know what I mean? So those were the 4 that we had.
So I'm good with this episode. How about you, Boo?
I'm good with this episode.
So once again, we wanted to thank you for tuning in. As always, it's a pleasure. You can follow us on all streaming services and platforms. Mm-hmm. As you know, I always talk about YouTube first because you get to see the real, raw, and uncut footage. This one is going to be real raw and uncut because we move around. Mm-hmm. As well as you can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, and just make sure to follow us. And we really genuinely, and we're going to keep saying this, appreciate all the love and support. No comment, no feedback goes back unnoticed. No. Or goes unnoticed, from us. Yeah. And we do reply back and interact with you guys. So any questions that you ask us, feel free to email us. Yes. You can DM us on our Instagram page as well, the questions, and we will respond because we do love the Q&A until eventually we will open it up that you can call in and ask questions. So,
and that's the part that I'm really excited about because honestly, we've been receiving a lot of questions. And so, we know that we just put out 4, but we plan on actually putting that out a little bit more often. We're actually going to select a day that we can just go ahead and answer your questions, whether it's on a post or whether we go live and just answer those questions for you.
Live, because we are working on being live. If you follow us, we've been live 2 times on Instagram.
And live is not my thing. It's really not my thing.
Either. I'm more of the stories person, but I'm like, listen, we're gonna do this live so that we can start, having a little maybe we could do a live recap if people have seen the episodes and or heard it and have things to do a live where they can try to type in the questions.
I'm not opposed to it.
And then we can answer it like that. That's something that we could do. See, we're pondering and brainstorming.
We're pondering at the same time. Do keep in mind the purpose of the podcast is for us to be transparent and for the both of us to step outside of that box. So while I'm saying I'm not a live person, I have no problem with doing a live. We gotta at least try something that you have an interest at least once. And then, you never know if you'll like it. If it's not your niche, it's not your niche. But, in this instance, being that we are out there to serve as a purpose to help in some way, shape, or form, then if it means being on live, we'll be on live.
Yep.
We'll be on live.
Y'all know I love it.
She loves it, and I'm gonna grow to love it. Just give me some time. Like I was saying, things don't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. But live don't happen overnight for us, so we working. Working. She's making me work on some other things.
Yes. But you know what? It's a team. We got to work together as a team. Like they say, it takes a village to, build something because we're both trying to build empires.
And look at that. We're talking about the things that we're going to do for the new year because this will probably act as if it's going to be. Yeah. That's it because the next time you will see us,
we'll be in the next year. That's right. That's right.
We are, a couple of things.
I cannot believe it. I can't believe 2021 is almost over.
Yep. So
it said deuces.
Yep. So you'll be seeing us in 2022.
Yes.
So with that, as always, that's why we keep saying we appreciate you guys because you're rocking out. And there is so much more in store that we have because we had a little, I can say this. Yeah. We did say we had a list how we were going to have the season for season 1. But after talking, we extended it a little bit longer. We have some amazing topics that are coming up.
And special guests as well. Stay tuned.
Yes, we have some special guests that are going to be lined up that are going to be amazing and incredible. So definitely stay tuned, stay blessed, and we want to wish you a happy and safe and healthy new year.
Definitely.
We have been through a lot through these past 2 years of being in quarantine in this pandemic, but we also want to tell people to stay safe. So we understand that everybody is doing the gatherings and being with their family, but ensure that you guys are being safe and, doing the requirement that is required of you to follow the guidelines.
Keep your mask on. Even if you're vaccinated. Please keep it on. I know we hate it. And I know some of the masks have been breaking out the side of my face because our face is not designed to have all of these things on our face all the time, 24/7. But you know what? Get a proper skincare regimen involved so that way you don't have to worry about that, but just keep your mask on.
But definitely, again, we're not going to keep you any longer.
No.
But as always, thank you again for tuning in with
So with this ring. See you later.